Hi, you guys. Turn this air conditioner down. Today is Sunday, October 13th. Yeah, October 13th. I had a rough night last night. I had moved out of my room, the moldy room, sick room, for a few nights. And sleeping on the couch. And I had been, I had to get out of the room because it was just too much. And I thought I would sleep on the couch for a few nights. I don't know why I thought it would be different, but last night I decided to go back and sleep in my room because I wanted to just lay on the bed. The sofa is comfortable, but it's not a lot of room. And it's the sofa, it's a common area where my daughter's room is right there. Excuse me, and my nephew's room. Well, he has to go through the living room to get to the kitchen. And so I have to be fully clothed, And I just got tired of having clothes on. For the last probably year, no, more than that, probably last 3 years. I can't hardly stand to wear clothes. Like, I hate a whole lot of clothes on. So I said last night I needed to be comfortable so I could, not have to sleep in anything. And that was a huge mistake. I slept about 4 hours because I was drugged. I had taken gabapentin because I'm in so much pain, can't walk without the cane. And then I took 2 extra strength Tylenols. Those are like 650 milligrams a piece. Plus, the 2 gabapentins, 300 a piece. Plus, I took a Singulair because I'm supposed to be taking one every night at bedtime for the antihistamine. I had the worst night. I woke up with that feeling like my head is about to explode, like my eyes feel like they're bulging. My head feels like there's a rubber band around it, and I feel super fogged out and just horrible, and coughing up so much mucus and just basic mold poisoning stuff. I had to get back on the couch at like 4 o'clock this morning, and my daughter said that she was concerned about me because when I was wheezing while I was sleeping, it was disturbing. I can't stay in that room anymore. As a matter of fact, I need to get out of that house. I got to figure out a way to make my car comfortable. I have a couple of blankets in here, and I'm going to have to probably go find me a piece of like memory foam or something to put in here as a something, because that apartment is bad for me. And my face was much more swollen this morning, and I just felt sick and ill. It's hard to explain to people who don't understand how mold sickness works. And it's also hard to explain to the doctors because they are looking for a cluster of symptoms that fits whatever, oh, you have postnasal drip. Oh, you have muscle spasms or whatever. I mean, they're trying to make it fit into there, because mold toxicity and mold poisoning is not something that doctors, they don't talk about it. They don't talk about it. And it certainly isn't part of any managed health care's formularity. Okay, so there's no protocol for that. Binders and meal plans and whatnot. Doctors never going to tell you. Most doctors are almost never going to tell you to change your diet for anything. But anyway, The best place for me is in my car, out in the sun. That's the best place possible for me to be, is in my car and out in the sun. And so when I got up, I tried to hang out, watch football. There was no way I could do it. So I got out and got in the car and just got in the wind. It's like, which way am I going? South, east, or north? Okay, we'll go east. So, because it's hotter out here. Anyway, and I don't like hot weather. I prefer cold weather. But anyway, I needed that to do that for myself today. But, you know, the more and more I contemplate on this nightmare that I've been through with the mold, I can't help but think about my poor sister Suzette. She was the best big sister ever. And I had 4 big sisters. Now I just have 2. But she was always complaining about something hurting, something itching, not being able. She was constipated, or she had diarrhea, or she had just one thing after another. You know, she had scabies, they said, because she was itching so much, and her feet were burning. That was one of the last things she complained of before she passed away. And my sister had a heart attack in the room that I live in now. And that was surprising enough. But the things that led up to this heart attack were a myriad of health issues. And I happened to find one of her aftercare visit papers from her doctor, and there was a list of 40 things, at least, that she suffered from prior to having this heart attack. And she took herself to the hospital the day before. Heart attack happened on December 9th. She took herself to the hospital December 8th because she just felt so unwell. And she called us and said, I'm about to drive out to the San Fernando Valley, which is like 40 miles from the apartment, because that's where her doctor is, because I'm having trouble breathing. And on the way to her car in the carport, her legs gave away. She fell to the ground. Thankfully, there were some people in the alley who saw her and came and assisted her to get in her car. And she drove herself to the hospital. And we were very concerned because we said to her, call 911. She wouldn't do that. She drove herself to the to the hospital. And I'm pretty sure if her reaction was like mine is, I instantly begin to feel better the minute I get away from the apartment. Not when I walk out the door, because in the stairwell, it's moldy as well. When I get into the carport where the car is, it's part of the building. You can see that there's been water damage. But when I get away from the building, I begin to feel better. So I'm quite sure she managed to get to the hospital quite well. When she got there, excuse me, all the histamines are back up again from sleeping last night in the room. Anyway, when she got to the hospital, they examined her and told her, you are presenting with COVID symptoms, but you don't have COVID. And this was in December of 2021. They said, and even if you did have COVID, there's no treatment for COVID. So just go home and ride it out. She did. When she got back home, she began to feel unwell again, and the excessive coughing started. And then she had this heart attack at 5 o'clock in the morning the next day. My nephew just happened to be at home and was able to call 911 and start trying to do CPR. By the time the paramedics got there, thankfully there is a fire station literally 2 blocks from the apartment, so they were able to get there pretty quick. And I was told that her heart stopped again on the way to the hospital, and they revived her a second time, got her stable at Cedars-Sinai. I went to see her the following day. There was like 3 doctors that came in and said, your sister is suffering from interstitial lung disease, and she will likely be on oxygen for the rest of her life. And I asked about the heart attack, and they said it was brought on by respiratory failure. Like she was just coughing and trying her best to, So, okay, lung disease. She, my sister was 72, or would have been 72 in February. And so she was 71, and she had a lung disease, interstitial lung disease. She hadn't smoked cigarettes in over 30-something years. She did smoke weed for many years, but she stopped smoking weed probably like 3 years before she had this heart attack. The only thing we noticed is just before she passed away that she was losing a lot of weight and having, she always had extreme sugar cravings. And she would always, gotta have her Haagen-Dazs ice cream or something. So anyway, she was stabilized. They sent her to a rehab center where she ultimately had her heart stopped again and she died. And none of us, there's 7 of us, none of us were thinking mold, not at all. Unfortunately, we did fall into that group of people who thinks it's all in your head, because my sister always did have some form of depression or anxiety. And so we just always thought she was just, being a hypochondriac, because she was complaining about all kinds of things. Her back hurting or her hips hurting. And I always thought, wow, she's so thin. I wonder what's this, how's that possible? Anyway, we didn't believe her. We just thought she was trying to find something else to worry about. We always said that. She just loves to worry. She was misunderstood, truly. And I was one of the ones that didn't understand. And I regret that. I didn't think about mold. Just didn't think about it. But when I began living in that same apartment in her bedroom, and I saw the mold in the ceiling, and I saw the same pattern in the ceiling of the bedroom, it clicked. This is mold sickness. This is where the lung disease part comes in. When I started wheezing, and I've never smoked anything, when I say I'm 60 years old and I've never smoked a joint, I've never smoked cigarettes, I've never done hookah, I don't do vaping, I don't do any of that, ever. My poor sister. She would still be here today. She was a beautiful person. And pretty. So now I do this in her name. I'm suing the apartment manager. That's all there is to it. And I encourage any of you who think, oh, just take whatever you can get and run. They will continue to not pay attention to us if we don't bring mold sickness and mold poisoning to most doctors and lawyers' awareness. It is an injury caused by neglect. The landlord knows that that their roof is no good, and they know that as a result there's mold in the building. Sue their asses. I'm doing it. And every time I go to the doctor, I'm going to let them know. Put that in my record that I have been exposed to mold, because that's exactly what's got me sick. That's what's got me wheezing and coughing, and I can't walk. I have been on my mother's cane for a month and a half. I woke up one morning and I could not walk. I couldn't put all my weight on my left hip. And what it feels like right now, it feels like a muscle, like a muscle spasm that will not relax. And it feels like a burning sensation, like that, what is that, lactic acid or whatever that is that happens when you've worked out and you go for the burn. That's what it feels like. My muscles are burning. My feet are burning. Just like my sister said her feet were burning. My feet are burning. And I just overall look sick. This toxicity, I look sick because I am sick. And this landlord agreed to offer me $10,000 for moving expenses and another $1,500 on top of that for pain and suffering. You have got to be kidding me. $1,500 for permanent damage to my body, to be diagnosed with COPD, and I've never smoked, to have a 4-millimeter nodule on my right lung upon CT scan, and you want to give me $1,500? They will never legitimize mold sickness and mold poisoning if we continue to say, well, just take what you can get. Take what I bullshit. One dead sister and a nodule on my lung, and I'm supposed to be paid off with $1,500? I don't think so. No, I don't think so. I love live music. I had a live music event last weekend that I was so excited to go to, because I love these guys. I love the maggots. I love the funk. I love live music. I sat there after about 40 minutes and I began to just sweat. I'm just sitting there. It's not even hot, or it wasn't a lot of people in there. In fact, it was drafty. It was, kind of out close to outdoors. Just wasn't, I'm dripping sweat. And the more sweat, I'm anxious. And I'm so anxious, I had to leave. I left the event. And I sat in my car. And I've never had what I could identify as being a panic attack. But I believe that's what it was. I think it was a panic attack. This is bad. This is bad. It's one thing when something affects your skin, or it affects your insides, or it affects, something else. But when it affects you neurologically and it affects you mentally, this is bad. Very bad. This is very bad. I feel so feeble, and I feel so weak, and I feel sorry for myself, and then I feel sorry for my sister. Mentally, it's really bad. I didn't know about mold sickness and mold poisoning. That's exactly what's going on. I spent the night in that bedroom for the first time in 3 nights, and I woke up sick as a dog. So yes, I'm suing her. I'm suing her. The nerve, $1,500. Please. If I got to sleep in my car for the next 5 years, that's what I'll do. But there's no way I'm accepting that. She's negligent. And don't you settle for that. We got to stand up for our rights.